Hello, thank you for joining us for our Season 6 virtual New Play Festival. My name is David Clark.
And I'm Brian Walker, and we are the co-directors of Derby City Playwrights.
We are excited to present readings of 8 brand new full-length plays written by Louisville area playwrights.
We're premiering these readings on July 24th and July 31st, but they will be available on our YouTube channel for the next few months, and we really hope that you'll tune in and watch all of them.
The last step of most new play development programs ends in a public reading with feedback from the audience, but since we're online again this year, it makes that last step a bit more challenging. We hope if you have feedback, anything you think could help our playwrights on their journey with their new plays, you'll leave it for the playwrights either on the YouTube link or email to derbycityplaywrights@gmail.com with the playwright's name or play title in the subject line. You can even leave a comment on our Facebook page.
We want to acknowledge the hard work that these playwrights have done to prepare for this day. We're a collective developing plays as well as playwrights, and that means everyone pitches in. Everyone does heavy lifting, and these playwrights not only attended monthly feedback sessions to provide feedback on each other's plays for the last 8 months, but they've cast their plays, set up their own rehearsals and recordings. Many even directed and edited their own work. These writers did it all, and they are awesome.
We also want to thank the amazing group of actors and directors who have shared their talents with our playwrights, both at our monthly meetings and for these recordings. We couldn't do what we do without them, and we dedicate these readings to them.
And you want to join us? We're currently accepting submissions for our Season 7 group of playwrights. See our website for submission details, but hurry, our window closes on July 31st at midnight for consideration for our 2021-2022 season.
And finally, we'll have a donation button on the live feed with a link on our website as well as at derbycityplaywrights.org. If you are able and believe in what we do, consider making a donation towards our next season, which will be in person again, and we have lots of exciting things in store.
And thank you for tuning in. We hope that you enjoy the play, and we thank you for your support of new plays in the Ville.
The Masked Man by Clare Hagan. Louisville, 2014, various locations. These different places are represented by a number of sparse stations that the audience visits throughout the course of the show. The additional roles can be performed by one single actor, by a chorus of actors, or even incorporated solely through the sound design. In this production, the additional roles actor will be heard but not seen. As people enter the space, the artist sews thick colored yarn onto a large canvas. In a dark corner of the room, the musician plays a pensive and calm melody. Scattered benches or chairs provide a place for people to sit and watch the artist work. Once everyone is assembled, the artist stands to address the assembly, picking up a bundle of yarn with many different colors and textures and taking it with her.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my home, or my studio, as some prefer to call it. My name is Teresa Good, and I am a weaver of colors, though I suppose you could also call me a weaver of souls. You see, there are some people who see color in letters, numbers, words. They hear colors playing in the melody of a song. I, on the other hand, see colors in the people who surround me. In this group gathered here, there is a lovely jumble of shades and hues all mixed together. I believe that souls have colors. The energy and the patterns of action that a person lives can be felt and sensed. You might taste that energy in your first impression of a person, and a sense of adhesion or repulsion, a sense of who a person is. I experience that impression in colors, just as a synesthetic person might hear colors in music. The same color in different hues can convey two very different energies. Take the piece that I am working on now, for example. There is a silver gray, at once quiet and brilliant, off-putting, sour, and beautiful. It can be difficult color to match. It carries with it all the contradictions of a human life, right next to an electric line, vibrant and self-destructive, far different from the silver green, though they both come from the same color, the color of life and trees and growth. I am the deep purple you see here. I have been bruised in this life. I have waited and I have found dignity within myself, as royal as the heart of purple contained in these strings. Certain colors can work beautifully with others. Take, for example, this warm red-orange here in the piece, the kind, fierce color of a daylily. I recognize that same energy in an old friend of mine. She's going to come visit me before too long. I really am grateful for that. Our colors weave together beautifully, you see, though we can be very different and bring with us different perspectives. You all will be able to witness that, of course. Now, as you set out on your journey, I invite each of you to select one of the pieces of yarn I have here in my hand. Try to choose one whose color reflects the person that you are.
Audience members are able to come forward and select a string.
Lovely. Now, look at the color each of you has selected and ask yourself, what kind of energy have you been putting out into the world? And what color would you like to bring with you? I invite each of you to have your neighbor tie your string around your wrist in a nice bow, mind you, not a knot. Let the string around your wrist serve as a reminder that we are all one color among many. We do not control the whole of the picture, but each of us may work to select the color we would like to bring with us and ask how it might blend and weave with those around us. I want to thank you all for your visit here, but I should let you all be moving on now. I do hope to see you soon somewhere down the line.
The musician invites the crowd to come along with them to the second station, leading them on with the same calm and pensive melody. At the second station, the wanderer stands, waiting outside a real or imaginary doorway. They carry a silver-green backpack with some buttons on it. There's a button with purple, white, gray, and black stripes, among a couple others. The wanderer steps up to the door and rings a doorbell, which is not heard. She starts to get restless.
Come on.
The wanderer glances behind them and addresses the audience.
Do you ever think about how much life you have ahead of you? How many days are left to live, and it all just seems so... Better not to think on it. Better to go somewhere, to a place where there is light and smoke, and the friend of a friend who said we should hang out sometime. Come on.
The wanderer pushes the doorbell again. Once more, no sound accompanies this.
God, it's freezing and late, or early, I guess. But they said there were still people over here. Like 20 minutes ago. Yeah, this is the right address, but all the lights are out and the windows are just staring back at me like vacant eyes.
The wanderer walks back up to the door and knocks. A moment passes and the door creaks open.
Come on in, sweetie. Bex and Sage already left, but we weren't planning on conking out for a while.
They lead me through a dark living room, down a hallway toward a bedroom. A person with wild dark hair sits cross-legged in the center of the bed. Their eyes look like a Christmas tree, the bright green of them made brighter by the touch of red intoxication. To me, they seem like the only real person in the room. I don't know what to say, how to introduce myself, so I look for something to do in the meantime.
The wanderer slips their backpack off of her shoulder and lays it on the ground. She pulls out a book and then a pencil pouch containing a pipe and a small bag of weed.
What's that book?
Oh, it's nothing.
The moth reaches over and picks up the book.
Ah, the Phaedo. You reading this for a class?
Not exactly.
For fun, then.
Sure, I guess.
Sick. What'd you think about it?
I don't know. What's not to love about death?
You are talking to the chick who is completely obsessed with death.
Hey, just because I talk openly about something perfectly normal that's going to happen to all of us does not mean that I am obsessed.
Please, girl. Please.
Well, if the shit that's happened to me had happened to you, you'd be pretty fucking curious about death too.
Wait, what happened? I mean, unless you don't want to talk about it.
Oh, she wants to talk about it.
You don't know me. Whatever. You seem pretty dope, my dude, so I'm gonna tell you what happened. Maybe you'll hear it and not just think I'm a crazy person like some other motherfuckers I could mention right now. Alex.
So, what happened?
Do you believe in death omens?
I've never really thought about it.
Well, I wish I'd had that kind of luxury, my dude. Seeing the masked man will change all that for you.
What is that? Some guy that dresses up in a mask and runs around Bardstown Road?
No, it's not. It's something real.
What then?
So one day, 11-year-old me walks home from my tiny ass little grade school over in Lexington. And normally, when I get home, my mom's sitting at the table working. But she isn't there. She doesn't call or come walking when I open the door, so I head upstairs to look for her. I smell something flowery and wet, like soap, and outside the bathroom door, it's all steamy, but the door is locked. I'm calling, "Mommy, Mommy." No answer. So I bump the door with my hip, and thanks to the crappy lock, it just flies right open. Then I see her lying there in the tub, and it's just all wrong. Her eyes are unfocused just above the waterline. Her mouth's open, and the top of her hair is starting to clump up in drier sections like she'd been that way for a while. I call out for her again, but she doesn't move. She just looms under the surface. I start looking around for a hairdryer or something electric that might have fallen in the water, like in this episode of Mythbusters I'd seen, but there wasn't anything. No blood, no pills, nothing. I start carefully backing away, headed to call 911, and all the while I'm keeping my eyes on my mom lying there, suspended in the water, like I can't look away even if I wanted to. Then boom, a sound at the window made me jump like, I don't even know what. A second later, I realized it was just our neighbor's dog. Still, I want that window open. I want it open now so that there is some way left to escape from that room if my mother were to sit up in that bathtub and rise blank-eyed beside me. I threw the window open, and when the cold air hit, it was like I could breathe again. I looked toward the little swing set in the backyard, and sitting in one of the swings, looking back at me, there was an unnaturally tall, thin man dressed in a plain black suit.
At a station in a distant corner of the space, a man in a suit and a mask sits on a swing set.
He wore a beaked mask, like one of those masks you see in the Italian Renaissance or in some production of Romeo and Juliet. I couldn't see his eyes behind his mask. All I could see were his pale hands and neck. He waved at me. Then he stood up and walked off out of the backyard and down the quiet streets. He left the swing creaking back and forth in the backyard.
The masked man leaves the swing, walking off into the shadows.
This all seemed to happen in one suspended second. Then it was like time started up again. I was running toward the phone, trying to do something, anything. I told the paramedics about the masked man on the swing set. I told my father. Not a single person believed me. they thought I was trying to say that the masked man had killed my mom. But no, it never felt that way exactly. We never knew why she died. No drugs in her system, no hint at all. Eventually, they just said it was fatigue of the heart, which basically means we have no fucking clue. I never saw the masked man again after that. Not while I'm awake. I feel like he ends up in some dream of mine at least once a week, though. He never talks. He just stands there and waves at me. Then he walks away. Do you believe me?
I don't know if I believe you.
Figures. Mind if I crash here tonight, Alex?
Of course you can, my sweet little disturbed child.
I realize I have no idea how much time has passed. It feels almost like the seconds seem to expand across their story, inflated with the smoke I've been breathing in. Thanks for having me, Alex. Maybe I'll see you around?
Maybe. There could be hope for you yet.
I hope so. I find my way through the dark hallway and the living room, back out the front door, into the faint glow of street lamps.
The musician and the wanderer invite the crowd to follow behind them.
I wander into the ashy night, just a couple blocks from campus. It's still the first week of the new semester, and with an unknown class and an unknown teacher, I don't want to risk oversleeping. So I pass over the sidewalks like a shadow. I spend an hour or two haunting the library, blank-eyed, and I pass into the carpeted tombs of piano practice rooms and play.
The wanderer sits down in front of a piano. She plays along for a little while.
I revive. I watch the fresh figures of morning clashing with the night that's still playing out in my mind. The pale blue light of dawn washes over all of us, and I wander into my classroom.
The professor writes on the whiteboard as folks arrive at the classroom station. With a red-orange dry erase marker, she writes, Honors Expository Writing, 11014. The wanderer sits down at the table and lays their head down, looking half dead.
You okay there?
I will be.
The professor addresses the audience.
Come on in. Come on in. I know the classroom is on the smaller side, but there should be room for everyone. And if not, I'll probably be requesting a move to a different classroom as it is.
She waits until everyone is seated and settled, then she addresses the class.
All right, guys, I have exactly one rule in this classroom. Don't be an asshole. Just don't do it, and we'll all get along just fine.
I see a guy across from me make a face. It amuses me.
As I hope you already know, my name is Dr. Joe Bast. Joe is occasionally permissible in non-class related circumstances, if you manage to earn that privilege. But that's enough about me. In order to kill fewer trees and also to stop statistically about 4 of you from asking for a new syllabus, you should have all received a copy via email. We won't be going over the syllabus today in class, but I do want to let you all know that a lot of teachers have found it very useful to structure these English 101 classes around some central theme. This particular class will be centered around a discussion of different ideas and theories of truth.
The student that made a face raises his hand.
I will not be taking any questions at this moment. Thank you.
The student's hand goes back down.
My hope is that this class will help each of you come to a better critical understanding of your own beliefs and values, and also come to better understand and appreciate the different types of knowledge and truth that you'll study during your time in college. We'll be reading a broad mix of philosophy, scientific articles, and fiction, including some short stories from The Things They Carried. We used to always start with one of my favorite Nietzsche essays, but so many of you end up covering it in Dr. David's honors philosophy class that I've decided to cut that piece this year. Now, to start out class today, I'd like to get to know each of you a little bit better. I've got some flashcards here. On the lined side of your flashcard, please write down your name, your pronouns, and major, if applicable.
The student raises his hand.
Yes?
Pronouns?
Yes. She, her, hers, he, him, his, they, them, theirs, whatever you like people to use.
The professor places flashcards and pens on the table, instructing the audience to pass the supplies around if they don't do this on their own. Anyone listening to this reading is welcome to join in this exercise as well. Just grab some paper and something to write with.
After you've written down that information, I'd like each of you to think for a moment. And on the opposite side of the flashcard, write down one thing you strongly believe to be true. We'll be displaying these around the classroom, so be sure it's something you're comfortable sharing. If you have trouble thinking of something, you could write something as simple as, the sky is blue, or I like chocolate. Now you can't use either of those, but you get the idea. I'll give you a moment to think. When you're finished, please pass in your flashcards.
The professor gathers these.
I am planning on letting you guys out pretty early today, but first, I would briefly like to put these specific examples of truths in conversation with some of the broader categories and ways of thinking about truth. It can be useful to start with an example. What did you end up writing down?
The universe is made up of atoms.
And what kind of truth would you say that is?
Scientific, I guess.
I'd say so. And why do you believe this is true?
Well, I don't know. It's just a fact. It's like a scientific fact.
Well, let me put it this way. I know I have never personally observed a single atomic particle, and I suspect that you are not an 18-year-old particle physicist. So, how might you have developed this belief around atoms, if not from personal research or experience?
I guess I learned about it in science class. I mean, it makes sense to me. It's been tested and stuff by a bunch of people, and if they were wrong about it, somebody would have probably said something by now, wouldn't they?
That seems reasonable to me. Can anyone else think of any other types of truths? Yes?
There are types of truths that aren't really observable. Like, you can't observe an idea like goodness or justice, but we can talk about them and agree that those ideas are true in some way.
Excellent. I believe we may have a Platonist in our midst. Any others? Does anyone have a truth written down on their card that they'd like to share? Yes. What did you write down?
I think God is real.
Okay. And what kind of truth do you think that would be?
Probably religious?
Religious?
Maybe philosophical?
I think those could overlap, yes. And what makes you believe this truth to be real?
Well, nothing concrete. I mean, just lived experience. And I don't know, something within that's like, this is a truth that I know empirically.
Okay. So it's a personal truth as well. And that kind of relates back to our previous one about how do you qualify things like goodness or items you can't see, perhaps. Well, thank you for sharing. All right. Now, for homework, I want each of you to write a page or two typed, MLA format, analyzing the truth that you wrote down today. Ask yourself, what kind of truth this is? Why do you believe it? I also encourage you to ask yourself what potential challenges or contrary viewpoints there may be, and where might those viewpoints be coming from? I'll see you all on Monday.
The Wanderer stands up. Almost simultaneously, the professor's phone rings. She answers it.
Hello? Yes, class is ending now, Mom. Class, It's getting out. I'll be right there. No, you don't need to go to the doctor alone. I will sign you out and take you there. Absolutely. Love you. Bye.
The professor starts walking toward the door. The wanderer hangs back.
Yes?
You mentioned the Nietzsche essay. I just wondered if you could recommend a good place to find it.
Oh, of course. I don't think I said specifically, but it's called On Truth and Lies in an Extramoral Sense. I may actually have a copy in my bag. Just give me a sec.
The professor sits down her red-orange bag and starts looking through it.
Did you not take the honors section of philosophy last year? I saw that you're one of the sophomores in the class.
They put me in a different section. We read on genealogy of morals, and that was fantastic.
That's wonderful to hear. And unfortunately, it's looking like I don't have any loose copies of that essay with me. But it is in this anthology I didn't bother to take out of my bag last semester. You're free to borrow the book if you swear to take good care of it and bring it back to me.
Absolutely.
And if you want to discuss the essay after you're done reading it, just drop by during office hours.
Thanks, you got it. And when are...
It's all on the syllabus.
Oh, of course.
The wanderer turns to leave, but hesitates and glances back.
I hope your mom's okay.
The soundscape becomes that of a neighborhood. Cars passing by. The wanderer turns to the audience.
I drive home to Germantown, and I fall into sleep.
Blackout.
I wake 10 hours later with a dull ache in my ears.
Lights come up, and with them, a screeching, migraine-like sound. The wanderer reaches for a bowl or a joint and starts to smoke it. The screeching sound fades.
The smoke dulls the pressure in my mind, but now it's getting toward sundown on the first Friday of the new semester. I can feel myself growing restless, the walls around me growing closer. I shoot off a couple of texts. Anything going on tonight? A girl who lives on my hallway last year sends me the address of a house off Baxter Avenue and asks if I want to ride. That night, a stoner called Alonzo pulls up in an old Humvee. Two girls shivering in crop tops share the front seat, and another girl lays across some frat boys in the back. Alonzo tips his neon yellow cat my way, pops the trunk, and I slide on in.
There's a sound of a car door closing. Lights dim as the wanderer steps into a rolling cart. The musician, or Alonzo, pulls the wanderer into another room or space, beckoning the crowd forward. The next station is filled with pulsing lights and a cityscape of empty bottles. The sound of bass and bouncing electronic music spreads out over the dull roar of a crowd. This station might be created around the audience, or they might move through a separate space led on by the actor.
We step towards the porch littered with people nursing drinks and cigarettes. Inside, every space is packed with people, moving. I smell stale sweat and feel shoulders pressing in on every side. My friends and I push through a bottleneck in the hallway, and when we get through, we come out in a cramped square kitchen.
Let's get some hooch before it's gone.
I shove my way back through the hallway, past a guy carrying Jell-O shots on a tray. I can't see any of the people I came with anymore, but I don't really care. I feel like I'm looking for something, but I don't really know what. To my right, I see a staircase with people heading up it and others heading down. Like a mirage, I see a person with a familiar tangle of hair, of wild, dark hair, disappearing onto the second floor. I join the line of people heading up the stairs, stepping behind a guy with a beer belly and a Hawaiian shirt. On the first landing, there's what I assume is a restroom. Two girls with straightened hair wait at the door with this massive tree of a guy. One of them bangs on the door.
Are you okay, Marissa?
I keep going, feeling like a Dante wandering without my Virgil. I reach the second landing and there's a closed door at the top of the stairs where someone's written, "Reefer room, keep door closed." I push it open. There's a bedroom. The ceiling slants with the roof of the house. Any left?
Sorry, dude.
I walk around their loose circle to a door on the other side of the room. I shove it open wide and step out onto a high wooden porch leading to rickety stairs. In the yard below me, I can see clumps of people scattered around, caught in the street lamps and in the moonlight. I feel so far from it all. I glance out at the stars, suspended over the neighborhood trees and rooftops. Then I fly down the porch steps, past the scattered folks smoking in the backyard, and towards the concrete steps that lead to the back door.
The wanderer walks toward a set of steps where the moth sits with a bottle of wine. Soft music plays.
Sorry.
You're good.
Long time no see.
Oh, hey! I wondered if I might see you out here.
The moth jumps up and hugs the wanderer.
I was hoping I might see you. What was your name anyway? I never even caught it last night.
My friends call me the Moth. Yeah, nice and mysterious, I know.
A girl with bright hair runs up to the moth and hugs.
Kathy!
I can just see the glint of a septum ring in the girl's nose, half her face buried in the moth's wild dark hair.
Let's go.
Where?
Tyler Park, remember? We were talking about it at lunch. I want to go swing on the swing set. Come on, let's go.
What now?
It's not that long of a walk. Do you want to come with us to Tyler Park?
I don't know. I came here with some people, but sure, I guess I can come. I have my phone on me.
Sounds like a plan.
The moth, the wanderer, and Kathy walk toward a swing set. The musician begins to play something almost celestial, leading the audience on to the next station.
We head away from the house, and the moth leads us on a procession down the Baxter Avenue sidewalk. We step into the park, beneath a few old trees that stretch their canopies wide, draping a kind of patchwork light across two rundown tennis courts and a small toddler's playground. The soundscape becomes damp, echoey, dripping. We walk down a handful of steps that lead underneath a big stone bridge that cuts the park in half. The 2 lanes of Baxter Avenue run across the top of the bridge, but they are quiet by this time of night. Not too many cars. The arcing surface of the tunnel sends our footsteps back in echoes until we come out on the other side.
There it is.
The moth, the wanderer, and Kathy sprint toward the swing set. The moth and the wanderer sit down on the swings and start swinging like pendulums, higher and higher. Kathy hangs off to the side.
Woohoo!
This was such a good idea.
This is so sick. It's like just gravity, man. Gravity and trajectory. That's all you need for a good fucking time.
You sound so stoned.
Well, sorry if weed makes me want to like talk and contemplate the mysteries of the universe. And it's just a fucking plant too. It's like broccoli, but cooler.
You're crazy.
Not crazy enough. Should I jump out when it's at its highest? Should I? Should I?
No. Bad idea. Definitely a bad idea.
I won't.
The moth and the wanderer dig their heels in and stop, the wanderer smiling and out of breath. She speaks to the audience.
On this swing set, I feel more alive than I've felt wandering through the whole massive, pulsing party. Suddenly, I realized that I was looking for the moth this whole time, for her dark, wild, curious energy.
The wanderer stands up from the swing.
Well, I should probably be heading on home.
Good call.
By the time we get back to the party that night, my phone is dead, and my friends are gone. I explain that I don't live on campus.
You're welcome to crash with me if you want. I walked here from campus. Plus, I've got a spare bed right now. My roommate goes back to Northern Kentucky every weekend, and I can always drive you back home in the morning once I'm sober.
The musician plays a sleepy tune which blends with the sound of city streets.
We follow the dark sideway down Norris, a straight shot towards campus.
I ask them the usual stuff. Major, where you from?
I tell them I'm studying biology and philosophy. I want to study bioethics in grad school.
Holy fuck, man. That's like an actual plan. You actually sound like you know what you want to do with your life.
In theory, at least.
I'm just an English major because I was a fucked up kiddo who formed a desperate bond of attachment with my high school English teacher. She even had me reading extra stuff, like the Phaedo. You know, anything to do with death, because we had the same kind of fucked up sense of humor and all.
I take it you read some Flannery O'Connor?
I love me some Flannery O'Connor.
And Sylvia Plath?
Oh, Mrs. June made everyone read Sylvia Plath. Her and Toni Morrison. Goddesses, if you ask me.
We walked the whole way back to campus, trading stories. We stepped through the desolate columns and statues that litter the nighttime university.
Fuck. Oh, where'd I put my card key? Oh, there we go.
I follow them down a brick-lined hallway covered in fresh new carpet. They open a door at the end of the hall and we head inside.
There's a blanket, pillow, and a disc chair. The mattress and space from Station 2 can also be doubled to create this space. Nearby, but outside the main station, there's an office chair.
When the moth turns on the lights, I see dozens of drawings above the bed, all covered in writing, tacked up onto a corkboard, flooded on the desk. On every single one of the drawings, there is a figure in a suit and a mask. In some of them, he sits on a swing set. In others, he watches above a bed. In some of the pictures, he walks alongside a woman with wild, dark hair.
Do you believe me now?
Do you want to hear what you want to hear, or do you want my honest opinion?
Both at the same time would be awesome, but, you know.
Well, I'm pretty tired and my brain is kind of foggy and...
Just tell me what you think. Please. I just want someone to believe me, and I don't know.
This might not make much sense, but I'm not really sure if this masked man exists in like a scientific, rational, verifiable way.
Wow. So you really want to pull that science bull?
Wait, please. I'm not trying to discount it. There are more kinds of truth than just scientific, observable truths. This conception you have, this obsession, this idea. Ideas are real. Stories, concepts, theories, they're all real things. People die for ideas all the time. They can change lives, change reality.
This isn't just in my head, though.
Maybe it's not. I don't really know. I think I might feel a bit weird sleeping in your roommate's bed. Is it all right if I curl up in this chair?
Whatever.
Thank you.
The Wanderer curls up in the chair. The moth lays down on the bed, moving their most recent drawing of the masked man to the floor.
Sweet dreams.
Good night.
The musician plays a sleepy variation of a song. Then it is morning. The Wanderer is sitting up. The moth stirs.
Do you mind if I smoke in here?
Go ahead, man. Just blow it out the window.
The Wanderer starts smoking a joint they had stashed on her, blowing the smoke out a window. The moth sits up sleepily.
I didn't take you for a wakened baker.
People can surprise you, I guess.
The Wanderer picks up the drawing of the masked man.
You like it?
The drawing? I do.
You can keep it if you want to.
So the masked man can haunt me too?
No. So I can haunt you.
The musician begins to play echoes of a song.
They do haunt me. The moth drives me home, leaving a version of themselves in my mind. The whole weekend, every face I meet, every person I can think to call up on my phone feels so incredibly dull compared to them. I keep pulling out their drawing, looking at it. I am the masked man, it reads. It's almost like the figure's mystery consumes them so completely that they become the masked man themselves. As classes change, I'm scanning the hallways and sidewalks, looking for them. I don't have their Facebook, their phone number. All I know is where to find their dorm room, and I don't feel like I have license to just randomly drop on by. Not yet. I pull out their drawing as I'm waiting for Dr. Bass to arrive at her office, hoping to discuss the Nietzsche essay she lent me.
The professor walks toward the swivel chair.
You're not waiting on me, are you?
Well,
I'm so sorry. Staff meetings always run 10 minutes late. I should have taken it into account when I wrote down the office hours. Come in. Come in.
The professor sits down in her office chair.
Have you already finished up on the Nietzsche?
yes, I have.
The wanderer goes to put away the drawing and pulls out the book she borrowed.
What have you got there?
Just a drawing a friend did.
May I?
What is it?
Is this some character your friend made up?
Not really.
Oh, where's it from then?
Well, they described it as an omen.
Really?
They said they saw it after their mother died.
Oh, that is,
A little wild.
it sounds more familiar to me than, would I be able to talk to this friend and you about this? They're not in trouble, definitely not, but I'd like to have a conversation.
A conversation?
Maybe here is not the best place. Also, I am, at the moment, practically buried in syllabus revisions for a class I wasn't supposed to be teaching this semester. Not that I have much of a choice. I do have a creative writing club meeting at my house in a couple of weeks, though. You all would be welcome to come, and we can talk after the meeting. How does that sound?
I mean, I can always go and ask them. I don't really know what she'll say.
That's all right. That's perfectly all right. I'd really appreciate you asking anyhow. There's something to discuss here.
All right. You got it.
And I'll be sure to email you the information about the Creative Writing Club meeting.
The professor hands the drawing back to the wanderer.
Now, about the piece you read.
The musician begins to play just a bit. The professor's words slow. The wanderer steps away.
I don't really know what to think about what just happened. I can feel a guessing game playing out in the back of my mind. I also feel incredibly lucky. I hold this new excuse to visit the moth like a lucky pebble in my pocket. The next day, during free period, I wait for someone to swipe into their dorm room, and I catch the door behind them, hoping the moth's still there.
The wanderer catches the real or imaginary door and walks over to just outside the dorm room. The wanderer knocks on the door.
Hey, you in there?
What up?
Oh, sorry. I can come back at another time.
No, it's fine. What is it?
Question, sort of?
Oh, all good. Just can you make it a kind of quick one? Napping calls out to me so sweetly.
I can try and make it quick, but it is kind of a weird situation. I went to talk to Dr. Bass yesterday. Do you know her?
By sight, yeah. I mean, I'm an English major. I'm not honors though, so I didn't get to have her for 101. I did really want to take her class on magical realism last semester though, but it didn't fit into my schedule.
What have you heard about her?
Mixed stuff. A lot of people really like her. Some think she's crazy, but they tend to be the same lazy assholes who keep signing up for easy A's.
That does seem to check out. I just started in one of her classes.
What does this have to do with me?
I went to talk to her yesterday, and when I stopped by her office, I pulled the drawing you had done out of my backpack so I could get to this book she had lent me. It was kind of buried in my bag.
Wait, you were carrying the drawing around with you?
I mean, yeah. Why?
No reason. I just wondered.
When Dr. Bass saw the picture, she looked, I don't know, she said she wanted to see the drawing, said it was familiar or something, and that she wanted to talk to you.
To me? If she wants me to see a shrink or something, I've already got a therapist whom I love dearly.
I don't think it's anything like that. I think she honestly just wants to have a conversation about it, like her as a person, not a teacher. And I don't think it will hurt.
You think she might know something about it? Like she's done research on this kind of thing? Omens kind of fit in with that magical realism and folktale shit.
Maybe. She said she's having a creative writing club meeting at her house in a couple of weeks, and we could talk after that's done.
I might be down to do that. I kind of wanted to check out that club anyway.
Awesome. Awesome. I can let you know when the meeting is. What's your email?
Here, give me your phone. There. Now we've got each other's phone numbers too, so you can text me before the meeting. My email's notthethistoryslam@gmail, all one word, no spaces or punctuation.
That's easy to remember.
I hoped so when I made it.
Do you mind if I text you some other time?
I mean, sure. I'm kind of shit at keeping up conversations over text. If you send me hello, I probably won't reply for days.
Same. Hard same. If the text is want to grab a coffee in an hour?
Much more likely to get a response, yes.
I'll let you know when I hear about the meeting.
Thanks.
And maybe I'll see you before then. Who knows? I look for excuses to take the moth on an adventure. I tell them, I don't know why, but I think you might really enjoy contra dancing.
The musician starts playing a contra dancing tune. The wanderer and the moth start dancing.
I take them to a church with a wide wooden floor. No pews. We balance and swing and dance with the old folks and the handful of high school kids who have wandered in.
The dance ends. The music turns dark and quiet.
The next week is not a great week physically. I spend 2 days in bed. Dr. Bast is more sympathetic than most teachers, especially when I send my first essay in early. She sends back the info for the Creative Writing Club meeting, including her address on a street just off Norris Place.
The professor greets the moth and the wanderer and welcomes them into the next station, set up quite near to where the artist still sits, weaving her tapestry. There's a couch, a chair, and a coffee table. While the main meeting is taking place, both the moth and the wanderer primarily speak directly to the audience.
It's close enough for us to walk from campus.
Her house is warm and filled with books. It all smells like linen and fresh coffee.
It's nice to get to meet Dr. Bast, like, for real and stuff. At her first sarcastic, swearing-laced comment, I know I want to take a class with her next semester. By the 27th swearing-laced comment, I kind of want to be her best friend.
Her partner isn't really what I would have expected. Pale and quiet, a violinist with the orchestra.
When Dr. Bast sets down a plate of bread she's baked, there's this way she holds her stomach, almost subconsciously. It makes me wonder if her stomach hurts a bit or if maybe
Maybe they have a little one on the way.
we move to the living room where we sit down on the couch. The club talks about plans to meet, elects officers.
Some people read a bit of their work. The moth reads something, pulling up a poem on their phone.
It's called The Night Owl State. I sit in the night to watch the hand of minutes chase the hour to where it rests above the scratches we call 3. And every breath is for a thought or the hope of one, a thought that will crawl up your spine, sit between your shoulder blades, and knock at your neck in the quiet. If only I could pluck that thought from the dust. So tell me, have you ever touched the night owl state? The place where dreams intrude upon thoughts like a wanderer, homeward bound. And in this night I can feel myself unfolding, the earth unwinding. And here we sit, 2 entwined entities. It is only here, outside myself, that I can see everything.
I don't really know where that poem came from.
I don't really know myself.
Most of the students head home eventually,
Her partner heads upstairs.
and then it's just the 3 of us left in the living room.
Thank you for coming out.
You wanted to talk about the masked man?
Well, I suppose so, yes.
Have you come across something like it while doing research or whatever?
That would have been so nice and clean and easy and not traumatizing at all.
Wait, so
Plus, the research is a bit of a crapshoot. I mean, this one doesn't really match a type of omen in any oral histories or records that I've examined, unless you generalize to figure in black.
but if it's not from your research, then you've seen him too, haven't you? Who was it for you? Who was it that died?
My little brother. I mean, he was just a baby, but there was definitely this figure, whatever you call it, outside the window before I went to pick him up. And, well, he wouldn't wake up. SIDS was the diagnosis. Sudden infant death syndrome, which basically means
We have no fucking clue.
pretty much. You know, I tried really hard to forget that thing that I had seen. I mean, I tried so hard to forget, and it never really worked. And then she just knew.
Who?
My art tutor, of all people.
The professor picks up a portfolio of paintings from behind the couch and walks over in front of the artist's house.
I was 13 years old, hoping to get into a magnet program for high school. My mom brought me over to her house. It was this deep purple, lined with strange bright colors at the shutters and windows.
You must be Joe.
Yes, I am. And the woman turned to my mother and said,
I'll take good care of her, and I'll see you back here in an hour.
and then my mother turned to me and said, now, my little artist, you be sure and listen and behave. Mrs. Teresa is good folks.
I hear you'd like some art critiques.
Yes, please. I'd like to get better. I want to know which pieces I should submit.
Here, lay them out.
Professor lays out some art pieces and then speaks once more as her adult self.
The masked man was all over the art pieces, hidden in backgrounds, looking through windows, a finger lifted over his lips.
So you've seen him too.
I feel like I've been both recognized and exposed. I think about denying it.
You don't have to deny anything.
I look up and see a picture of the masked man on her wall, woven with yarn.
You can trust me.
I tell her about how I found my baby brother lying there, and she starts to tell her story.
My daughter Jenna had these big eyes that drank in everything, always as sweet as periwinkle blue. She was only a few years younger than you are now when we were out walking in the park. Sunset surprised us, and so we were heading back towards the car in the deep blue light of dusk, the parking lot almost in sight. She just collapsed out of nowhere. I picked her up in my arms, the electricity gone from her, no life, no heartbeat. She felt so small. There was no pay phone in sight to call an ambulance, so I drove her to the hospital as fast as I could. But they said there was nothing they could do. Just after my Jenna died, and the instance after it happened, I looked up and saw a masked man in a suit standing along the path, a little ways in front of us. He stopped to look at me. Then he turned and disappeared into the trees. I can see the masked man in your art pieces. I can feel him on them as well. I can feel him in your words and in the hurt that you carry.
What do we do then? Do I have to tell someone about him?
Not if you don't want to. Let us be thankful that the two of us have been brought together by this. And if you ever need any help of counsel, I will be here. I promise.
The professor walks back to her couch where the Moth and the Wanderer are sitting.
I remember what that was like, realizing that it wasn't just me, all alone. Someone else had seen him too. And I knew I owed it to you to let you know the same thing.
Now do you believe me?
I think a part of me has always believed you.
Do you two know of any others who've seen him before? Anyone at all?
No, nobody.
When did it happen for you? Who was it?
It was my mom.
I'm so sorry.
I found her in the bathtub, dead before her lungs touched the water. It's been about 10 years now.
That long? I'll be honest, when I saw your drawing, the first terrible thought that crossed my mind was, he's back.
Not unless he comes back every 10 years or something.
We can talk to Teresa and see if there's any pattern we can find. Interval, time of year, but with just the two of us, there were never any similarities we could find. So, I don't know.
But what if there are others out there? More than just us three. What if we could find a pattern then?
I don't know.
We should be speaking out about this. Openly, publicly, unashamed. So we can find the others, and because none of them, nobody should have to feel like they're crazy.
I hear you. I do. It would be really nice to find others. But I also don't want to rush into anything. We'll have to have a talk with Teresa first. And I don't think she's going to want to speak out about this.
Well, just you and I can speak out.
It's not that simple.
Why not?
You know why.
Because people?
Yes. Because people.
And your job, I guess?
Yeah. The university probably wouldn't appreciate rogue professors making allegations about visions of omens. I mean, there's a reason I wasn't comfortable talking about this back at my office. And unfortunately, there's no shortage of underemployed literature PhDs out there.
Yay, English majors, job prospects. Not terrified.
It's the world we live in. And this is also just really not a good time to go and upset what little safety and stability that I am fortunate enough to have.
What if it's all three of us? 3 voices speaking out.
We can go talk to Teresa. I'll explain the situation. Maybe she'll agree to speak up about this publicly, and then I may consider it. Maybe.
Can I come along?
I don't see why not. You're part of the circle now, after all.
The artist and the wanderer stand up. A soft tune begins to play.
One day, a little while later, the moth drives us over to a quiet neighborhood. The two of us get out of the car and find Dr. Bast, ready to lead us to the artist's house.
The moth, the wanderer, and the professor walk over to the artist's house. The music fades out. The artist stands waiting for them.
So you've seen him too?
Yes, I've seen him.
God, I don't know if I'll ever get used to this.
What?
Belief, I guess.
It can be powerful.
It really can. And that's why. That's why we've got to speak out about this, to see if there are others out there like us.
I really think you should ask yourself why you are so interested in finding others who have seen him. Is it really for their sake, or is it for your own validation?
Why can't it be both?
You don't need any validation. You already know the truth. You've known it since the moment it happened.
Yeah, but the world might not understand that.
The world doesn't prevent you from trusting yourself and your own ways of knowing.
So I should just let people think I'm crazy?
Don't bother with other people. Turn inwards instead. Accepting the mystery in its wholeness is the only path out there. The only one that has given me any shred of peace.
Teresa, I hear you. And believe me, I am definitely not team, let's go tell everyone about this. But a part of me still has to wonder, what if there are others out there who've been affected by this? Or will be affected by this in the future? What if we did reach out? We might be able to prevent this from happening again.
I disagree. I know in my bones that this is not something simple, something that can be riddled out and prevented. I trust that knowledge.
But how can you be so sure?
Years of reflection, Joe. You know that. And you also know that I have never stopped you from speaking out about this on your own.
But without you, we're on shaky ground. I mean, especially with my job and tenure potentially on the line, I'm really not in the best place to start talking about this. But you too might be. And what if that can make a difference for the next parent, the next baby brother, the next daughter? We could warn people.
Even if we found every single person who has seen the masked man, we wouldn't be any closer to stopping what he brings with him. Death is beyond us, and those who seek to understand it will only be disappointed.
Well, we could at least try.
Please, just let it go and be happy and content with what you already have, the truth you already know.
Well, what if this figure isn't something strange or mysterious? What if he's some kind of sick killer working to take people? What if we just let him get away with it?
Exactly. What if it isn't an omen at all?
He hit Jenna with an invisible dart then? Or was it a death ray?
It could have been poison, maybe. Something slow acting, difficult to trace.
The doctors found nothing in her system. And besides, we'd shared all our food that day, food that I made. But I didn't have to tell you that, did I? You already know. You both know. That thing, that figure has absolutely nothing to do with a man in a Halloween mask.
She is right. You just know. It's something darker and stranger and something else entirely.
It won't stop you from speaking out. Just please give it some time. Give it 6 more weeks. Let it all settle. Give yourself some time and see what forms of knowing come your way.
Transition music begins to play. The professor goes back to her living room and sits down. The artist goes back to sewing threads onto her canvas. The Moth and the Wanderer stand together.
Sometimes I wonder if the masked man is punishment for us trying to hide death away in this country.
I hate to tell you, but we're not doing a very good job of hiding it. I mean, look at what's on TV. The Walking Dead, American Horror Story, Hannibal.
Those are just fantasies of death, though. Not the actual mundane reality of death. We hide old people away in nursing homes, and then when they die, we hide them away in funeral homes, and then we fucking embalm them and sew their mouths shut so we can pretend they're not really dead, just sleeping. And every single person alive right now won't actually become a rotting corpse. We'll just go to sleep in our cozy little casket beds. And it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. Most other countries don't even embalm their dead. They actually respect them and remember them. Meanwhile, we treat Dia de los Muertos like some kitschy trash holiday instead of a beautiful, meaningful ritual.
I mean, we do have our own rituals here, funerals and stuff.
Yes, but those systems are all about hiding things away, keeping everything at some safe and manicured distance. I try to make people look just one tiny little bit and they just giggle uncomfortably and run away.
I'm not running away.
Not yet.
I'm not making any escape plans. I promise.
What can we do? What can we fucking do? Oh, it's like I have got this flame going inside me and I just want to try to find other people who just know what this is like so that maybe more people would actually
listen.
Yeah.
We could look on the internet, see if anyone else has ever seen even something remotely like the Masked Man.
Trust me, I've tried. All I get are pictures of fucking plague doctors.
Have you tried looking on like weird supernatural forums?
Yes, even on those.
We could try a book then, maybe?
I don't know. If Bast hasn't had any luck, why would we?
The blessings of a kind universe?
Okay, to be fair, I do know a place.
Music comes back in. As the Moth describes their destination, the Moth and the Wanderer walk toward a couple of bookshelves, maybe a sign representing the corner of a bookstore.
The store's in what used to be an old house on Bardstown Road, set off from the street a bit, and every room is filled to the brim with books. You walk inside, and the first room is lined with vintage books, golden-edged spines and faded illustrations on children's book covers.
We walk in a bit further, and inside what probably used to be a living room, they've got plays, poetry, philosophy, biography, and a section of oddities, magic, and mysticism. Here, what about this one? Ghosts Along the Cumberland? It says it's a collection of oral histories collected in the 70s, death lore and ghost stories from Appalachia.
Sick. Let's go for it.
I knock all my homework out fast so I can tear through the book. But then I have another bad week where doing things, it takes so much energy. I drag myself through the final pages of the book, days later than I'd planned. Not long after I finish reading the book, the Moth and I walk down Bardstown Road, talking. I'm sorry it took so long for me to finish.
You're fine. You're all good. But, like, are you okay, man?
Yeah, sure. I mean, not any worse than normal.
You, like, disappeared for a good moment there.
I don't know. I guess I got busy. Jesus.
Look, man, if there's something you don't want to tell me.
Why does it have to be some complicated answer?
I don't know, but at this point, I do hope that you would feel like you could trust me with whatever. You don't have to, and maybe I've fucked up somehow.
No, I do. I do trust you. I deal with a lot of chronic pain, chronic fatigue too, some of the time, and migraines, lots of them. This one's last about 4 months without ever going away completely.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's fun, let me tell you.
So the whole time I've known you, you've had a migraine?
Thankfully not at full blast the whole time, but yeah, if I weren't constantly smoking weed, I'd be destroying my liver with opiates in order to like function as a person. I've got the heavy duty prescriptions and everything.
Holy shit, man.
It's a lot, I know, but I do trust you. You shared your shit, and I just hope you won't think of me differently. Please don't think of me too differently.
Can I think of you as a badass?
Sure. Well, do you want to hear about what I found?
Yes.
Okay, so in the book, there are all these omen narratives, a magic walking cane, a dog, a shadow, but nothing in there that talks about a figure wearing a mask. Nothing. And most of these omen narratives have to do with premonitions. Stories like yours tend to be classified more as ghost stories, but there wasn't anything useful there either.
I mean, looking at a book was definitely worth a shot, but I honestly don't know if it's worth it to keep looking out in the world. I've been thinking a lot about what Teresa said, how we already know what we need to know. And I feel like there really is something inside of me, something below the surface that I can't access.
Like in your subconscious or something?
Exactly. Like, have you ever read The Doors of Perception? I just finished it last week.
Nope, never heard of it.
It's by Huxley.
Brave New World guy?
Yep, same dude. The book's basically an essay about his experience tripping on mescaline for a day. It's kind of awesome. He describes his perceptions, but also how he was able to think, to have all these insights.
You want to try psychedelics to see if you can figure out what the masked man means or something?
Is that a question?
Is it?
Well, what do you think of the idea?
I mean, there have been plenty of studies with psychedelics showing that they can be useful in confronting traumatic situations, confronting death even.
So you don't think it's crazy?
No, absolutely not.
Will you do it with me? What?
I mean, this may be Hunter S. Thompson's hometown, but it is also not the 60s. I don't think many people around here have access to mescaline.
It doesn't have to be mescaline. Shrooms or acid, maybe? Just something that'll let me think differently, you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I can probably find some stuff too, but it may take a couple of weeks.
Time to prepare. And also, I really want to go talk to Dr. Bast one more time. Maybe I can convince her. Even if we talk to someone from the friggin' school newspaper, that shit could blow up. You never know. And maybe then...
Maybe someone other than me might believe you.
You're great, kid, you know? But yeah, a few more wouldn't feel terrible.
Good luck with Dr. Bass.
Man, do I know I'm gonna need it. Might as well try to. On to the little cave of a basement where the university hides its English department, all boxed up in their tiny closet offices.
The moth approaches the professor in her rolling chair.
Do you have a moment, Dr. Bast?
You're not going to be able to convince me.
How did you...
Oh, I know everything.
Okay, fine. Well, I didn't just come to try and convince you, so...
Then, as lovely as it is to see you, why are you here?
Because I honestly don't understand how you haven't spoken out about this yet. You didn't always have a job. You didn't always have something to lose, but ever since you were a kid, you knew you were right. And even if you didn't, you really don't seem like the type of person to let anything get in your way.
I wasn't always like this, you know.
But once you had Teresa on your side, surely. I mean, your parents at least probably believed you. Didn't they?
What you have to understand is that in my family, there were things we just didn't talk about, and death was one of those things. No person, no parent wants to think about their child being shadowed by something like that, being taken by something like that.
But if you knew you were right...
I have tried my best to forget about the masked man. And if it weren't for the slightest chance that he might show up and take someone again, then I'd be trying to forget about him now. I really don't think other people need to know anything about it, if I'm being honest.
Wait. So you've never even told your parents? Does your partner know?
I don't need to tell you that.
So that's a no. That's really a no? I mean, I know what this is like. I know about the dreams and the helplessness and how it eats away at you until you feel like you can't breathe. And all through that, you never asked for help.
I'm not sure. I tend to talk about it more like a nightmare I had as a kid than as something that's real. All too real. So I don't know if that actually counts or not.
Were we the first people you ever really talked to? Us and Teresa? You've seriously never told anyone else?
Why would I want to tell someone else? It's terrifying.
I know it can be terrifying. But can't it also be worth it? Can't it be worth it if the world knows the names of people who we lost? I mean, your brother was just a baby, but still, when you lose someone, how does the world not stop moving or something? How can it keep moving on like they never existed? They did exist. And if we bring the masked man to light, don't we bring them back to light too?
Nothing can bring them back. And even if speaking out could bring them back in some way,
It can.
even if it could help, I gotta be honest, a small part of me, the part that knows the masked man, she will always be that terrified child staring out the window. And I don't know if I can make her talk.
You can still tell them, though, can't you? Your parents?
My father's been gone for years and years, and my mom, well, she's not really herself anymore.
I can't tell you to go and speak this out into the world. I can't tell you to go talk to your mother. But I can tell you that right now, I would do anything. Anything. If I could talk to my mom right now. Even if she couldn't say a word, even if she couldn't understand me, just that act of talking to her, telling her what I've seen, opening up to her, it It would be so precious.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's just, it's so fucking painful, you know?
This really does terrify you, doesn't it?
It does. It, it does, because there's something else I've never really talked about, not even with Teresa. Because when I saw the masked man, something else happened. It didn't happen to Teresa, and it doesn't seem like it happened to you. So I don't know why in the world it would have happened to me, but it did. When I saw him outside the window, he put his finger up to his lips, and unconsciously I mirrored him. And when I went to pick Daniel up and felt him so stiff and so cold, I couldn't scream. I couldn't talk, not for 3 days. My parents thought it was shock, and it might have been, but it never felt that way. It felt like my voice had dissolved and drained right away inside of me.
God, as if the rest of it weren't enough.
A part of me has always thought that he was trying to tell me not to say anything, not to tell anyone. I was scared that if I did ever say anything, he might come back.
You know, I've kind of been blabbing about this shit my whole life, and nothing's happened yet. Nothing at all. I've been talking and talking, but no one even believed me until...
Yeah. Well, thank goodness they walked into my office with that drawing of yours.
I know you might still be scared, but trust me. I know. I just know. There's no spell tying your lips together. No retribution. You can do this. And even though you might not want to risk tenure or whatever, at least telling the people you love, I think that could be really, really powerful. And you are strong enough. I promise.
Thank you. Will you all come with me? I may need other presences with me to get through.
The musician starts to play a somber tune. The professor begins to walk to the next station where there is a wheelchair and further back a recliner.
We had to move Mom into assisted living last year. She fell and broke her hip. We weren't skilled enough to take care of her physical needs, and we knew that other needs were coming. It had already started, the forgetfulness. Where she's been these past couple of weeks, it feels so far away. She's still here, but so far away. I press the button at the front door, and the woman at the front desk buzzes me in. When you walk inside, there's always a group of elders hanging out, most of them in wheelchairs. I used to be a bit scared of them, or sad, or there's this one woman who always holds a baby doll as though it were a real child. Like she thinks that it is something real. One day a nurse walking me in stopped next to the woman and said,
"Did you know she raised 11 children?"
11 little babies. The woman in the wheelchair smiled like a statue coming to life. And all of a sudden, just like that, she was a person. And I wasn't afraid anymore. Well, not afraid of her, or the other guardians that wait around the lobby. But now I have other things to face.
The professor walks over to the recliner and kneels down in front of it.
Hey, Mama. How are you? Experts on dementia and Alzheimer's say to wait at least 30 seconds for a response. They might have received your input and it's processing somewhere in their mind. It may just take a detour. So I always wait 30 seconds. I count them. Sometimes the answer comes, but these last couple of weeks, the responses have been fewer and farther between. Somehow I still think she understands, and I have to tell her. Mama, I saw something the night I found Daniel lying there. I saw a masked man outside the window, looking in, and I've been seeing him in my mind ever since. I don't know if it's something good or bad or what it means, but others have seen it too. Teresa and a student at school. Mom, I wanted to tell you, and I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. But now, I'm terrified. I'm terrified because we're going to have a baby, Mama. We're going to have a baby, and you are going to be a grandmother. But all I can see right now is Daniel lying there and the masked man outside the window. And I'm terrified that he's going to come for my child, too. I don't know how you did it, Mom. How can a mother survive the death of a child? I don't understand, Mom. I don't understand.
The professor rests her head on the arm of the chair.
In that moment, I feel my mother's hand on my head, and I look up at her, and I see her smile and whisper, "My little artist." And I don't know if she's understood a word of what I've said, but in this moment, I know she sees me. She really sees me.
Lights fade on the professor and her mom. The musician begins to play the same somber tune, going to stand in front of the audience. Then the musician leads the crowd back to the dorm room station. There, the Wanderer sits on the chair, with her backpack at her feet, and the Moth lies on the bed.
It takes me a couple weeks to get my hands on some acid from someone I trust. And in the meantime, the Moth and I spend more and more time together, especially when her roommate's out of town on the weekends. I wonder, if I were a different type of person, what might happen? The two of us alone in her dorm room together. Finally, she asks about my button.
What does that one mean?
Which one?
The striped one with the purple. Is it a pride flag?
Yeah, asexual pride.
Oh. So you aren't into girls or guys or anyone for that matter?
I mean, not exactly. Just because I'm not particularly interested in sex doesn't mean I can't be interested in someone, especially if that person is someone who I trust, someone who I feel comfortable being around.
That's kind of beautiful. Do you have a policy on cuddling?
Open to it.
I'll keep that in mind.
As afternoon heads towards evening, we each place a small tablet on our tongue to dissolve. It slowly sinks in. We talk for a half hour or so. All the while, I'm watching myself for signs of mental alteration.
I notice the lights begin to pulse softly, colors changing from cool to warm.
The light mimics this. Strange music begins to play.
My nose starts to feel like it's running, caustic and wet.
Time is expanding and tomorrow feels so far away. My thoughts echo loud in my mind. The same thoughts echoing back, echoing back, echoing back, like my whole mind has become an echo chamber. I feel like I'm never going to be sober again.
Let's go on an adventure. Let's go out. There's so much to see outside of this room. Come on.
But it's in here. You wanted to explore inside yourself, and you are in here.
Yeah, but in here, I'm just a part of me. The part that stays in here. But I'm like a different person when I'm out there with other people. Please come with me. I need to get out there where I am, where he is.
Okay, but
What is it?
I don't know. I've got this weird feeling like you might not be able to see the masked man if I come out there with you.
That's crazy talk.
No, listen. You are still your fourth grade self, the one who saw him, or at least she's still inside you somewhere. But she doesn't know me.
How does that matter?
It matters because the you that you are with me, that's not the person who saw the masked man. And that's why I'm not sure I can see him if you're with me. I'm not sure you can see him if you're with me. I want to come with you. I really, really fucking want to come with you right now, but I also don't want to fuck this up for you.
Shit.
What?
I think you may be right.
I know it will be harder, scarier on your own, but I think that may be part of it too. But you've got this. I believe you can do this all on your own.
You do?
Of course I do. I wish that I could come with you, or feel like I was supposed to come with you. But you go on. You go out there, out in the world without me. Just remember your phone. I will be with you on your adventure inside your phone.
You got it, friend.
Be safe. Be brave.
I grab my phone and leave. I sneak outside into the quiet campus, past a group of bros heading back toward the dorms. Raindrops begin to fall, and in the street lamp's light, I see the raindrops as sparks. I can't unsee them as sparks. I keep walking. I see a thin sliver of moon next to Venus, shining bright in the clear sky. The morning star. I let the starlight lead me down the sidewalks, and I watch the statues on campus for signs of movement. I think I see one jerk its arm, but I know it's just a trick of my mind. It's just a trick I don't believe. I pause for a moment near the edge of campus just to catch my breath. I close my eyes, and do I open them? I'm not sure, but all of a sudden I can see Teresa's tapestry. The electric lime, silver green, dark purple, and warm red-orange all woven together like lights. I see meaning written into this tapestry. I see the electric lime softening, the silver green taking in a small measure of the saturation. The two colors move together, not dissolving, but instead becoming like two sides of the same leaf, waving in warm air currents, as warm as red, orange, and purple wildflowers singing in the sunshine. I understand it more than words. It's an understanding apart from words. I can't speak it. But I'm filled with this deep comprehension, like in a dream. I know I won't be able to find it out tomorrow morning, that the logic will unravel with sunrise, but here, in this moment, I know it to be true. I keep on moving, keep on walking. Then, as I reach the edge of the campus, like a wide sea, as I stand on the edge of the road, like the shore of some newfound land, I see him. The masked man, staring at me far in the distance. I start to run down Norris Place. I catch up to where I saw him, and he's further away down the road. I see him, though, still now, standing in a place where there should be a neighborhood house. I know I've seen a house there, but now instead of a house, there's a small grotto filled with young trees. An old woman is standing with him. I recognize her from the pictures on Dr. Bast's table. I see her walking with the masked man, carrying a jar of lights. She plucks a light out of the jar and lets it go, as though she's saying goodbye to it with a smile. The globe of light begins to float down the street. I follow it. I follow it all the way toward Dr. Bast's front door. Through the window, I see her working. I see the globe of light float in around her. It slips into her stomach, just below her belly button. And somehow I know that one soul will rest inside another. I look back at the sidewalk behind me, and the masked man is standing there, watching me. I see him pull a light out from the jar. He hands it to me, and I cradle it in my hands for a moment. It feels warm, so warm. Then I know somehow it's time to give up the little light. I get to say goodbye, to wish it well. The masked man takes the light from me gently, so gently. And he walks off, as mysteriously as he came. I'm left there shaking on the doorstep with dilated eyes. I know I should head back to my dorm room. I know that would be smart. I know that would be smart. But all of a sudden, I also feel an overwhelming urge to feel safe, to feel like I have someone, like a mother, looking over me. I steel myself and ring the doorbell.
The professor stands up and opens the door.
Please, can I stay with you?
What's going on? What are you doing here? Are you okay?
I saw him. I went looking for him.
Looking for him how? Oh, sweetie.
I know, but I saw him here. I swear I saw him just now.
Now?
Yes, but...
Who's dead?
No one, I think.
You think?
It's safe. Everything and everyone is safe. I know that. And there's so much more, too. I want to tell you everything. Everything.
What do you want to tell me?
It's like what Teresa said. We already know what we need to know. I only saw what I already kind of knew, and it's like I understood what's going to happen and what has happened.
What's going to happen? What has happened?
Energies, they're not taken. They just move on, one to the other. I saw your mom, but she's fine. I don't know how I know, but she is. She's still here. And when she's gone, she won't really be. she'll be looking after you and your family, like my mom looks after me. Her energy, at least, still echoing around. The things she did still affecting the world out there, affecting me too, rippling out from every single thing she touched. It's beautiful.
You should lie down. Here, I'll get you some blankets.
The moth lays down on the couch and falls asleep almost instantly. The professor comes in and lays blankets over them. The phone rings. The professor picks it up immediately. The moth doesn't stir. The professor walks a little bit away from the moth, speaking in hushed tones.
Yes? Is everything all right? Is my mother all right? Thank goodness. I just wanted to check, getting a phone call this late. And yes, tell her I say hello as well, and that she should go on to sleep and let you get on with your work. And let her know that I love her very, very much. I'm really, really grateful that you called, though. It's nice to know about these lucid moments, and I guess you could say I had a strange feeling earlier. Yes, thank you. Good night.
The professor hangs up the phone. She looks over the moth for a moment, then she walks off.
I didn't have to sit up all night worrying. About an hour after the moth left the dorm room, I got an email from Dr. Bass saying the moth might need a hand the next morning and letting me know she was safe. I was a little panicked on the way over there, hoping Dr. Bass wouldn't murder us both or turn us in. But when I get there, she promises not to rat us out because she understands what it's like to carry pain.
Just please don't trip on acid on school grounds again. Ever. If this keeps happening, I would be ethically bound to report it for your own safety.
Thank you for the couch to sleep on.
We won't do it again.
We won't need to.
God, I really hope that's true. If you two do need help, though, I'm here for you both. Promise.
The moth and I walk the rest of the way toward Tyler Park, hoping to sit on the swing set together. When we get there, we see...
The sound of water rushes in.
The bridge has turned into a waterfall? Gallons and gallons of water running up from Baxter Avenue and spilling out over into the park.
People gather like magnets unconsciously attracted, coming to look at the strange sight like some natural wonder.
A waterfall, flowing and flowing from the bridge that cuts through the center of the park.
Someone says the water main on Baxter Avenue has broken.
It's loud. Flecks of water pounding the ground and splashing back up towards us, towards the other onlookers, dotting our shins and legs.
In the wake of that bursting pipe, we could see everything that had been hidden underground, breaking towards the surface. The chaos of liquid unleashed, forming something of incredible, terrible beauty.
There is so much hidden.
So much. Always flowing beneath the surface.
Is knowing that enough?
Is knowing that enough?